Hello, my name is Lisa Shea, and this video is part of my series on horror stories, horror authors, horror readers, and all things horror. So in this particular story, we're going to talk about The Demon Within. The Demon Within is an 18-page short story, 4375 words, and again, I'm going to have spoilers in this, so if you haven't read it yet and you care about spoilers, then you should go read it before I talk about it. Alright, so where this one came from. One reason that I didn't write horror for so long was when I was very young, I saw The Exorcist, and I was clearly too young to have seen it. And being a young girl, watching a movie about a demon going into a young girl and making this young girl do all sorts of horrific things really impacted me strongly. So it took me quite a while to get over it, and I don't know that I'm even still over it. I still can't watch the movie, and even seeing scenes of it still bothers me immensely. But part of what writing these other horror stories made me talk about with family and friends is why The Exorcist bothered me so much and what it was even supposed to be about. Because why would this all-powerful demon who could inhabit a body not go inhabit a president or a prime minister or a CEO or something? Why would he bother with this young girl who really had nothing at all going on in their life? And you could say, well, his real purpose was to torment the Exorcist character and show him that this poor little innocent girl, which was wholly innocent and without any flaws, could be corrupted and taken over by a demon. And I do understand that. But as a young girl seeing it, all I cared about was that it was a young girl being tortured. This young girl was helpless and this demon was in her. So then I thought about, why would a demon actually want to be inside a young girl character when they had the entire world to choose from? They could get inside, I don't know, high-level religious people, or like I said, politicians or business leaders or all these other people that actually could make some sort of impact on the world. Why would they choose a young girl to go into? And that's where the motivation for this story came about. And since it's a young girl that they're going into, then it has to be set in high school, which is the age of the young girl in question. So when I was a young girl in high school, girls had diaries, and that's where they wrote all their stories. They weren't doing video blogs or text blogs or that sort of stuff. So we've got this 14-year-old girl writing in her diary, and it's all told first person from the I point of view, because if there's going to be a demon within her, you have to be able to see how she's reacting to that demon and how their conflicts move forward. So this girl, who we never learn the name of, so she's a nameless anybody kind of girl, we'll call her Lisa, just because that's me. Alright, so she's turned 14, she hates her mother. I think all girls have a challenge with their mothers when they're reaching this age, and it's part of the normal growing process that you're trying to be your own person and get your own path. And also you think when you're 14 that you know everything and your parents are still treating you like a little kid. So it's that kind of conflict. So this girl is upset. She wants to wear makeup. She wants to do whatever she wants to do. Her darn parents aren't letting her do it. Most importantly, the mother. And she has a diary. So now she's going to write all her notes in her diary. Alright, so now the mother's not going to let the girl get a Ouija board, and the girl's really upset, but luckily the girl can just make her own Ouija board, because Ouija boards don't have to be made out of anything in particular. They just need to have the finder tool and all the different letters and numbers and such on them. So she decides she's going to make her own Ouija board, and off she goes. So then she makes the Ouija board, and she tries to talk to the spirits, and she actually reaches a spirit, and the spirit is named Astaroth. And she thinks this is the coolest thing. She asks Astaroth if Astaroth can help her. Astaroth says yes, and she's got her own pet spirit that she can use to get anything she wants. So now she just has to think about what she wants to get from this spirit. In the meantime, she's fighting with her mother, and she goes and looks up Astaroth and figures out Astaroth is a deity of war and sex, and that Astaroth was both male and female depending on who you looked it up, and she knows that her Astaroth must be female and that she is going to help her. So then this girl is thinking about something, and Astaroth answers her in her head, and she realizes that when she was using the Ouija board before, she never actually said goodbye to shut down the connection, so that she left this connection open in her head for the demon to be able to talk with her. So this is a little concerning, but she thinks it's a pretty cool idea, because now she's got a personal demon that she can just talk to whenever she wants to. So she has another fight with her mother, decides she hates her mother, she's going to leave her mother, never talk to her again. And then she goes to school, and she finds that there's some makeup in her bag, and it's not the garish makeup she would have chosen for herself, but it's makeup that ends up being flattering for her. So she's a little confused, and things happen in a blur, but she's not too worried about it because she got her demon and she's going to get her boyfriend. And then she's all excited because the boyfriend actually talked to her and flirted with her. And she was all happy about it. And then she starts to realize that she's missing out on sections of her life, that she just doesn't remember things happening. She said that her mom gave her jeans because she was nice to her mom, but she doesn't remember being nice to her mom. She has new things in her makeup bag that she doesn't remember buying. And Jose is being really nice to her, and she doesn't remember what could have caused this kind of change. And then suddenly she asks Astaroth if Astaroth is causing these kinds of things to happen, and Astaroth says yes. And this is a new twist for the heroine to think about, that this Astaroth is actually able to control her like a puppet and not just talk to her like she has a cell phone implanted in her head. And this is a little concerning to her, but it's not like Astaroth is a separate person. Astaroth is helping her do these things, so it's sort of like a mentor. So she's a little iffy on the fence about this whole mentor-puppet kind of situation, but she still thinks that she can get a handle on it. And then Astaroth takes over her body for the entire night, and now she's getting sort of upset. And now she's starting to see how Astaroth is taking over her body and pushing her aside, and that she can't even do things. And she's trying to regain control, and she's going to talk with her mother and get her mother to help her to force this demon out of her body. But unfortunately for the heroine, she then is completely submerged. So now Astaroth has control over a young, nubile teenage body and can do whatever she wants to with it for the next 20 years or whatever amount of time before she decides she gets bored with it. And then she will turn it back over to the character and give her, in essence, a spent body who has lost all the best years of her life without having known what was happening to it. So part of the mentality, well, I suppose a key reason that I wrote this was the whole Exorcist storyline and trying to get my head around that and how I would interpret that. So the only thing I could come up with why someone would want to take over a young teenage body was that they actually were interested in experiencing the nubile youth, and from a point of view of someone who has experience and wisdom, so they don't get sucked down in all the teenage angst kind of things and are just able to manipulate and use people with a body that people react to generally favorably, is what tends to happen. And part of it is, in talking with a number of my female friends, they often do think once they reach 21 or 22 that, oh, the best years of my life are behind me and now I'm just a boring old woman, which of course is an awful way to think about life, especially when there are still so many more very powerful years ahead of you. But this is part of the way our society is indoctrinating us, is that girls are exciting when they are 16 to 21, and this is like the peak time that all men of all ages are lusting after. And then once you get older, you get less and less desirable as you go on, and people only care about if you have money or something else at that point, but they're no longer interested in you just as a person to be around. So it's a little distressing that society is like that, and it's also distressing that many women internalize that and think that they have to continually try to make themselves look like they were still 21 because this was the target age for women to be. So the notion that this girl is going to lose the best years of her life because she loses that block of time before the demon stops using her is something that the general concept is something that I think about. And then also you think about when people go into comas and they lose what they would call the prime years. You know, how do they react when they wake up and now they're an older, middle-aged person and their body is wearing down and so on, and they have to catch back up with all of what society's been doing. So the same sort of thing's going to go on with this character. So those are the kinds of thoughts I was going through while I was writing this. Let me know if you have any questions about the story or any comments. Let me know if you write teen-based stories and how you tend to think about them, or if you write demon possession stories and how you tend to approach them. So please like the video, please subscribe to watch the rest of my videos, and I hope you have a great evening.